Welcome to First Bite, our Detroit Lions midweek podcast, where we bring you more Lions content with a special guest. My name is Jeremy Reisman. I am the editor-in-chief over at Pride of Detroit. With me to my left is editor-in-chief. I just gave you a promotion, apparently. Senior editor of Pride of Detroit, at Ryan_POD on Twitter. Ryan Matthews is here. How you doing, buddy?
Blackjack, no trade backs. Thank you. I run the website now. I'm doing fine, man. But let's get into our awesome guest that we have today.
Yeah, let's not waste any time here. He spent 10 years in the NFL, 6 with the Lions, named Pro Bowl, second team All-Pro, and he's now the co-host of the Believe in Lions podcast. Glover Quin is here. Glover, thank you so much for making some time, buddy.
Oh man, no problem, man. Thank you guys for having me.
No problem at all. It's our honor. I promise you that. Let's start with just kind of life beyond the NFL. You've been out of the league for a few years now. What have you been up to? What's life like?
Oh man, I've been enjoying myself. I got into a new hobby and I'm actually enjoying it, and probably, I don't know. I might want to do something with it at some point. I got into photography.
Okay.
My kids are, athletes, and so I used to always record their stuff. And so I got to the point when I retired and I had time, I was like, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I want to know how to do it the right way. I want to know how to edit. I want to know how to take photos. I want to know how to do videos. And, my kids were young. So I'm like, I got plenty of hopefully sporting events, birthday parties, school events, just things where knowing how to take photos and videos would be cool to have. And so I kind of got into it, and it's been such a journey, because there's so much into it. Most people think it's just picking up a camera and taking a photo, and yeah, you can do that, but as we know with everything, there's levels, right? So learning all the intricate details of what go into taking a photo and editing a photo and doing all those different things. So it's a new challenge for me. It's been fun. It's been cool. And so I just kind of enjoy that and, hanging out with the kiddos and just living life.
Glover Quin, multimedia specialist, I think is something you can add to your resume. But
No question.
Speaking of, entering into new hobbies, working with this Believe in Lions podcast, like what made you want to, get into podcasting, and why are you so interested in maybe covering the Lions specifically?
Well, I played for the Lions. And
so I've heard, man. So I've heard.
And when it comes to podcasting, I mean, I like to talk. I like to talk, and I feel like, there's things that I know about the game, about the inside parts of the game. I was blessed to be able to play the game for a lot of years. And so my experience, I can speak of that. When I played, I had an ability to learn and teach and help. And so being able to give that to the fans from a different perspective. A couple of years back during COVID, I had kind of started doing my own little podcast type of thing, the DB Room, where I really wanted to teach fans just basic football stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just, nothing super advanced, but just understanding the basic things of football for an average fan. So when you're watching the game, your experience is that much better because you understand what the analysts are talking about when they're saying cover 2 and cover 4 and post routes and flag routes or corner routes or out routes or, all these different concepts that we take for granted as players and analysts because it comes second nature to us because that's what we did for so long. But for the average fan, for people that's learning the game, they may not know all those different things. And so I was just like, you know what, man? I want to just teach the game to average people, just regular people. And so I started doing that. And then, I get asked all the time if I'm going to bring the DB Room podcast back. And I might. It took a lot of time from me. And I was a one-man band. So you know how it is when you're editing and, filming and putting the shows together and trying to get guests and trying to do social media and this and that. Like it was a lot at the time. And so I kind of had to put it on pause, and I just never picked it back up. So when I got the opportunity to be a part of this one, to where, I get to be on a podcast. I don't have to edit it. I don't have to, do all those things. I just kind of get to co-host and bring some different insight and different personality to it. So I thought it was a cool thing. And like I said, I played for the Lions. I love the Lions, the Detroit community, and so cool way for me to stay involved with the team and the community and the city. And so it worked out.
Well, then let's kind of get into your thoughts on this current Lions team, because I feel like it's an exciting time for fans. There's certainly a level of excitement that I don't know if we've seen since maybe, I don't know, the 2016, 2011 season, if we want to go all the way back there. So let's start with the regime, because they seem to kind of be the headline of everything. So, I know you were down at training camp a couple weeks ago. What was kind of your sense of this Lions culture? Did it feel special to you?
Yeah, I mean, the culture felt great. It felt like, what you would want the winning culture to feel like. The coaches were great. The players were excited. They were great. The feeling around the building and the cafeteria, just in the locker room, everything felt relaxed like it should be. Like, I mean, we spent a lot of time at the facility. We're there 10, 12, 14, 16 hours, so you want that place to feel sacred. You want it to feel like home. You want to feel comfortable there. You want to feel, like you want to go there. You don't want it to be a place where you dread going to. You don't want it to be a place where you can't be yourself. You can't be comfortable and, be you. And so the building definitely felt like that. So I think those coaches have came in and done a great job of getting it back to that. It was that, for a lot of years when Coach Caldwell was there, and then it kind of took a dip with Coach Patricia, and now, Coach Campbell is doing a great job of getting it back to that. And you hear from some of the younger players, that's what they're saying, because some of those, guys, they came in with Coach Patricia and now they're experiencing Coach Campbell. So when you come in as a rookie, that's all right? You don't know any other way in the NFL. You know what you had in college, but you don't know any other way in the NFL. So you assume that that's how it's supposed to be. And then you get to experience a different coach, and now you're like, hold on, this is different. Oh, this is fun. This is what I thought the NFL was like. Yeah, it's hard, but I mean, we got to have fun too, right? I mean, the game is hard enough. So we got to make sure that when we're not playing the game, we're still human beings and we can have fun.
Yeah, so I mean, all of that you just kind of hit on, Glover, like really hits home with, I think, a lot that's going on in Detroit right now with the current regime. And you were down at training camp a couple weeks ago, so like I guess the question I have for you is, like, do you think that the culture is as good as it's being advertised? Like, we see it on Hard Knocks. We're getting an awful lot of information coming out from Allen Park and things like that. And just a piggyback question, like, and I think you answered it a little bit, but like, how important is it for the culture to be where it needs to be in order for a team to be successful ultimately in wins and losses? Because we know that's how you measure a team.
Right. I mean, I think the culture is as good as advertised. I think those guys are the coaching staff. I think they're authentic in what they're doing. I mean, you got a bunch of former players, right? So when you have a bunch of former players, you're gonna have a bunch of personality, right? You're gonna have a bunch of guys that's been on that practice field. They understand. They're highly competitive. Like those old juices are gonna come out. So you see that a lot with Coach Aaron and Coach Staley and those guys. But you got a lot of guys that are former players that's a part of that staff. So I think the players are feeding off that. I think when you allow guys to be themselves, then you're gonna have fun, right? And this is the time to have fun, right? Everything that we've been seeing is off-season stuff, right? OTAs, training camp, all that stuff is off-season. So it gets back to what you said. Everything comes down to winning. You know what I'm saying? You can create this environment, but it got to translate into wins. Your guys still got to put in the work. You got to be able to understand and separate when it's time to play and when it's time to work. And when it's time to go to work, we got to go to work. We can't be playing when it's time to go to work, because if we're playing when it's time to go to work, we're not going to get the results that we want, right? So
Right.
a lot of times that come with having a mature team, having veteran leaders, guys that know how to shift the atmosphere in the locker room and on the practice field. And so hopefully, yes, those guys can be themselves. Those guys can be relaxed. They can be comfortable and do all those things. But that has to translate into understanding the scheme, understanding the game plan, understanding, hey, this is the task at hand, and we're going out here to win this game, and then we're going to win this game, and then we're going to get back to having a good time.
Right. I'm just kind of curious, who did you kind of walk into and talk with when you were down there in training camp?
Oh, everybody,
Yeah.
everybody. I really wanted to see the DBs. Obviously, I played with one of them, played with Tracy.
Sure.
So I wanted to check in with Tracy, but I wanted to meet the, coach. I know Coach Aaron from my time in Houston. So I wanted to catch up with him. I met Coach Campbell for the first time. But yeah, just the staff, people around the building, I love the people around the building. So seeing some of the people that worked with me in the cafeteria were still there, seeing, people in the training room, the whole training staff is still there, seeing the strength coach, like seeing some of those people that, really, really, really had a huge part in my success and my time there. People that did so much for me off the field, helping me to be the best player that I could be. Like I said, from training room to media room to, equipment room, staff, like everybody that plays a major role in allowing you to be able to go out and play, right? Those are the people that don't really get enough credit. And so I definitely want to go by and say thank you to those guys for everything they've done for me. And just as that, I was glad to see those guys. They were, it was a great time. And just walking through the locker room, seeing some of the new guys, meeting some of them, had talked to a lot of them over social media, over the phone, but getting to meet some of those guys in person for the first time was cool as well.
You mentioned Aaron Glenn and your guys' previous relationship. And I mean, he's been kind of a rock star around our parts. We've been a fan since the hiring. Can you maybe put into words what makes someone like him so special?
Well, I mean, the thing about it, when you have a guy that played and, everybody thinks just because you play, you can coach. That's not necessarily true. So when you have a guy that played, but then they understand how to coach, right? And they've came up through the ranks and they've had success everywhere they went. When you carry yourself a certain way, you can demand a certain type of respect from your guys. And when you have that respect from your guys, they want to play harder for you, right? Yeah, we go out there and we play for ourselves. We play for our family. We play for the names on the back of our jerseys, the front of our jerseys. You play for your teammates, right? But it's a lot different when you playing for your coach as well, right? And that's when you hear the term a lot of times when it comes to head coaches that they've lost the locker room or things like that. Right now, they feel like the players aren't listening to the coach. They're not really playing hard for the coach. They don't really respect the coach. You don't want that. That is not a winning environment, not a winning atmosphere at all. But when players respect the coach, they feel like the coach has their best interests in mind. The coach is not trying to screw me. He's actually trying to help me. And he has a resume of somebody that has done it. So he's not a guy that's just telling me what to do. He's actually done it. It's a difference. Not saying that guys that didn't play can't coach. I'm just saying it's a different respect that you may have for this guy. And until he does anything to discredit that, then he's going to always have that from his players. And hopefully he can bring the best out of his players and they can perform and improve the defensive ranks that they had last year and win some of those close games, because all you need is one or two stops here or there, one or two big plays here or there. So a guy that was known for making plays, hopefully he can get some of those guys' confidence up to where they feel comfortable going and making some of those big plays in big time moments.
And Glover, that respect, right? It goes both ways, right? You can respect your coaches and your coaches can respect you. And I think maybe Dan Campbell showed the ultimate form of respect for his players this week when he decided to walk in and say, hey, you guys are running practice. Have you ever been around anything like that before as a player?
You know what? I actually never have had a coach say, hey, you guys are going to run practice. I've had coaches ask input, how you guys are feeling, you want to do this, you want to do that, but just to say that you're running practice, I've never had that happen. I don't even know how that happens. But one thing I think you can get from that as a player, right? I remember being in a situation and I was in junior college, right? I was in junior college and we were doing off-season workouts, and we had mat room, something was something that we called our workouts at like 3:45, 4 o'clock in the morning, getting up, going to the gym, and you're just doing drills and drills and drills. Conditioning is hard, but it's JUCO, right? So you're trying to make guys tougher, stronger. I mean, it's JUCO, right?
Right.
And so we're conditioning, we're getting to the end, and we have been running all morning. And I remember the Coach Dom Green, he's actually a scout. I think he's still a scout. He was a scout for a long time in the NFL. Calls me out. GQ, you want another one? And I'm standing there, and literally I got the whole football team, like we're all just tired, you know what I'm saying? But the coach just asked me, do I want to run another one? And on one hand, you're sitting there like, no, coach, I don't want to run another one. And you have 75, 80 players around you just like, nah, bro, we don't want another one. But I think coaches do that to see how much are you willing to take? How far are you willing to push yourself to be great? And so in that moment, I had to make a decision. And probably against 85 other players, I was like, yeah, coach, let's run another one. And, the reception probably wasn't great, but at the end of the day, what are we going to say when it's time to go to overtime? Coach,
Right.
We don't want to play anymore? No, we got to go as long as we're supposed to go, we're going. So if you want to keep running, hey, we're going to keep running. And so sometimes when coaches give you, hey, you guys are going to run practice, he kind of want to see, are you guys going to take it easy on yourselves, or you guys going to really say, hey, we got to go out here and put some work in. Like, this ain't playing around. Coach letting us run practice, so we just going to lollygag and have fun and do whatever it is we're doing. No, he's trying to see, are you guys going to go out there and prepare like veterans, like mature athletes that understand the task at hand in this season that we're approaching?
And that's a big test for a really, really young team too. That's a really interesting way of putting it. Another one of Dan Campbell's tactics that we saw in Hard Knocks this year, which I'm curious as to your opinion about, because training camp is such a, I don't know, I know players don't particularly like it necessarily. It's a lot of work in a short amount of time. But one of his tactics that he used was first day of padded practice, live tackling right off the bat. And you saw at the end of practice, he kind of laid into the players a little bit, like, you guys aren't trusting me. When you see something like that, are you like, I guess the question is here, like, how delicate is that balance between pushing a team too hard right away like that and making sure that, like you said, like if you're going into overtime in these early games, you need to be physically ready for it.
Right. I mean, I think it's a very delicate balance. And I feel like that's one of those things where you got to have trust that your coach has your best interest in mind.
Yeah.
Because if you feel like your coach is not looking out for you, it's not going to go over well.
Mm.
But a lot of times when you see stuff like that, we understand that we have to get things going a certain direction, right? So a lot of times when coaches come out and do stuff like that, a lot of times you're not going to see, I mean, I can't remember, but did you see DeAndre Swift in any of those like highlights
Sure.
of live tackling? Maybe a couple?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Jamal,
yeah, I think
the
one or
running
two,
backs
yeah.
might have got a couple. A lot of times you don't really see the stars aren't out there as much. They might get one rep just to say that they died, but a lot of times they want to see those young guys.
Yeah.
They want to see these guys. Can you tackle? Because at the end of the day, even though they're young and Tracy Walker, he's shown what he can do. He's shown that he can tackle. He's shown that he's not afraid. Yes, do he need to continue working on it? Of course. But I know that Tracy's going to get his work in. He's going to understand. He's going to do it. He's going to put his body on the person. So yeah, I need you to work the technique. But I don't necessarily need you to tackle him to the ground. Right. And sometimes you have coaches that feel like, hey, in the games, you got to tackle them to the ground. So in practice, you should practice that. And, that happens sometimes. But for me, I never done a tackling drill where it was live. My whole 10 years of practice that I can remember. I never done one tackling drill that was live, like tackle him all the way to the ground.
Yeah.
Now, you want to thud, you want to get to the point where you can put your chest on him and hit him. But I don't ever remember doing one where it was tackle all the way to the ground. Mm-hmm. Not saying that we didn't. So if any of my coaches see this and say, "Oh no, GQ, we did." I don't remember. Okay.
All right. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to have more with former Lions safety Glover Quin right here on First Bite. Stick with us.